Hello students, welcome to ePathshala. My name is Ashima Gupta and I am an assistant professor in postgraduate Government College for Girls Sector 42 Chandigarh. This paper basically discusses the concept of gender in relation to international politics. It will move on to further discuss some of the notions which are very crucial to feminism, such as patriarchy and public-private divide. Feminism as a movement or as an ideology actually acquired a political significance only in the 1960s, and it took place in two waves. The first wave was successful in attaining universal female suffrage for women in mostly Western countries, and the second wave, it was able to attain social change. The main difference between the first wave of feminism and second wave of feminism is the ideological difference. The second wave feminists did not believe that political and legal rights would lead to anything substantial, and they focused more upon attaining social change. Objectives: to develop an introductory understanding of gender and feminism, to understand the implications of using gender in the study of international politics, to understand the various ways in which feminist scholarship has contributed in enriching debates within international politics. What is feminism? In a nutshell, feminism seeks to demonstrate how gender is one of the important sources of creating hierarchies in society, which leads to the devaluation and subordination of the feminine and the domination of the masculine. Some of the most important tools through which they highlight the manifestations of such a hierarchical ordering of the society are sex-gender distinction. It refers to the fact that sex is biological, that is, people are born as male or female, while gender is socially constructed, that is, people are conditioned into behaving appropriately according to their assigned masculine or feminine gender roles. Patriarchy, it literally means the rule of the father, rather than referring to real situations where the father is ruler in the literal sense. It is a heuristic tool in feminist scholarship to understand oppression of women. Artificial public-private divide. Feminist scholarship builds upon the public-private distinction whereby men are associated with the public, that is, political sphere, and being providers for the family by engaging in remunerative work, and women are confined to the private, that is, the domestic sphere of the household. International politics through the gender lens. Though feminism roughly traces its origin to the 18th century, it is only as recently as the 1980s that feminists have made inroads to the discipline of international politics or international relations. The basic objective of feminist approach to IR theory is to fundamentally question the claims of gender neutrality that mask entrenched assumptions which privilege the masculine in the way power, autonomy, rationality, and the public are understood within the discipline of international politics, which makes the mainstream scholarship in this discipline inherently gendered. Feminist engagement with the discipline of international politics has been broadly guided by an effort to extend the feminist slogan, "The personal is political," to also that the personal is international. Within disciplinary trajectories, feminist scholarship is often placed under the third debate among the great debates in the discipline of international politics, which is related to the paradigmatic challenge to the neo consensus of the mainstream scholarship by critical theories. When feminists highlight the problem of masculine privilege and related androcentrism, they in fact are using gender as an analytical variable where they demonstrate the hierarchical link between masculinities and feminities. Hegemonic masculinity. J. Ann Tickner uses R. W. Connell's concept of hegemonic masculinity to explain the masculinist area of international politics. According to this concept, not only is masculinity understood in opposition to inferior and devalued feminities, but also in opposition to various subordinated and devalued masculinities such as homosexuality. Feminist analysis demonstrates how in Western political thought The devalued and inferior feminities find place in the private while hegemonic masculinity dominates the public. It is important to note here that to contend that the economic and the public have been carried on as male enterprises is to only highlight their masculinist nature, and in no way does it suggest that men are inherently rational and thus fit to conduct economic affairs while women are inherently non-economically oriented. Such a dichotomy is what the masculinist theoretical IPE mainstream seeks to sustain. One can see a parallel of this phenomena in feminist reconceptualizations of war and security studies in traditional IR theory. A feminist view of security. One of the first feminist attempts at developing a comprehensive challenge to traditionally statist and military understanding of security was by J. Ann Tickner, 1992, in her path-breaking work Gender in International Relations, Feminist Perspectives on Achieving Global Security. In order to present a feminist view on security, she critiques the privilege accorded to the levels of analysis, making an argument against artificial boundary construction by extending the feminist critique of public-private distinction to international politics and focusing on important continuities like exclusion of women and violence against them across sectors, not only in military terms but also in terms of global economic security and ecological security. South Asian feminists highlight the fact that this region figures as one of the worst in terms of almost all human development indicators, particularly with regard to violence against women. They also note that as a result of a high incidence of both inter- and intra-state armed conflicts in the region, there is militarization which has its intersections with patriarchy and thus impacts women's security. Feminist reconceptualizations of security have resonated well with concepts like common security, which are not distinctively feminist in their origin. Another recent challenge of traditional ways of understanding security comes from conceptions of human security, an approach received an impetus from the United Nations. Mostly feminists find the human security approach useful, though they do warn against accepting human as gender neutral and advocate enriching it by inclusion of women's experiences. Heidi Hudson presents a feminist critique of other non-feminist challenges to the way security has been traditionally understood in IR theory. Hudson points out how the Copenhagen school does include women in its analysis, but effectively keeps them on the periphery, thereby preserving the ethos of mainstream thinking on security. Critiquing the institution of war. While women may choose to be and permitted to be combatants in some cases, in most others during wars when men are away at the war front, women are also known to participate in economic activities which they may not have in peacetime. During wars, rape has been systematically employed as a weapon against the enemy because women are supposed to be the signifiers of a community's honor. Wars and armed conflicts also result in large-scale displacement, whereby women and the children are known to be the worst affected, which has exacerbated with the changing nature of war from an interstate phenomena to increasing blurring of distinction between inter- and intrastate armed conflicts. Cynthia Enloe, in her authoritative work Bananas, Beaches and Bases, as well as her later work Maneuvers, drawn critical focus on the issue of sexual violence during wars, not just in the form of brutal rape by soldiers, but also in the form of various kinds of sexual exploitation that women are drawn into, often for survival or as an unfair trade-off for security. One of Cynthia Enloe's most incisive case studies in Maneuvers is that of the systematic use of rape as a weapon of war, by various conflicting parties during the prolonged conflict in Bosnia in 1990s. During wars, women's bodies are geopoliticized and they become the signifiers of boundaries and territories. Concepts of state and nationalism as they play out in international politics have an inherent gendered characteristic. The construction of nation is based on ideas of motherhood, and women come to be the signifiers of the creation of us and them identities. Demands of separate statehood on the basis of this creation of the other and assumptions about essential character of the glorified self and demonized other often lead to situations of armed conflicts. A sustained engagement by feminists, not just academic but also at the policy level in international politics, with the issue of gendered nature of the institution of war as well as the grave issue of sexual violence inflicted on women during war or conflict situations of various kinds, has led to a recognition and acknowledgement of the injustice women have faced. Militarization and protection rackets. Feminists have employed the concepts of militarism and militarization pioneered by Cynthia and Lowe in order to further their arguments. The institution of military has been close to women mostly, and even when it is accessible, women do not find space at the front as combatants, but only replay their avowedly patriarchal feminine caregiver and supporter roles. The ideology of militarism is sustained by oppositional notions of man, citizen warriors, and women essentialized as passive victims in need of protection. The ideology of militarism gets entrenched by the process of militarization, which leads to not only an adverse impact on social expenditure in favor of maintaining the army and an escalated defense expenditure, but also the legitimization of the use of force even for civil purposes. Adding another nuance to this understanding is the concept of protection rackets. According to feminists, such an idea of protection is used in all traditional conceptions of security. In the family, society, state, and subsequently the international system. Thus, the protection racket involves the giving of rights by the protected in lieu of giving the protection. The public-private dichotomy in the society can be extrapolated to the international system as well, where the militaries assume the role of protectors. Nonetheless, liberal feminists continue to view inclusion of women in the military as a matter of ensuring equal opportunity. Feminists' engagement with IPE. Feminists theorizing on IPE seek to visibilize women, account for the gendered experiences of work, and rethink the international division of labor as a sexual division of labor. J. N. Tickner presents a formidable feminist critique of the three different undercurrents of international political economy as identified by Robert Gilpin: liberalism, economic nationalism, and Marxism, each respectively focusing on the individual, the state, and class. Tickner highlights the assumption of gender neutrality of all the three approaches and argues that ignoring gender distinction hides a set of social and economic relations characterized by inequality between men and women. In order to understand how these unequal relationships affect the working of the world economy and their consequences for both women and men, models of international political economy that make gender relations explicit must be constructed. Tickner explains that liberalism is based on the assumption of the instrumental rationality of an individualistic economic man. However, the assumption is masculinity since it obscures women's experiences and notions of interconnections and interdependence. Encapsulating the feminist critique of economic nationalism, Tickner begins by problematizing its central unit, the state, since women were not equal partners in the social contract. The feminist critique of Marxism is mainly directed at the gender neutrality of class analysis, which ignores the specific ways of women's oppression due to patriarchy, even under capitalism, and also invisibilizes the critical role of women in the family and household, with their focus on production. After consolidating the feminist critique of dominant theoretical approaches to IPE, Tickner then proceeds to formulate a feminist reconstruction of the international political economy and begins with an emphatic challenge to the liberal construct of rational economic man. According to her, a self-interested maximizing behavior of the individual must be supplemented with an ethic of care and responsibility to include the connected, interdependent individual whose behavior includes activities related to reproduction as well as production. Jan Jindy Pettman alludes to the important fact that in contemporary international political economy, poverty affects women differently than men and often in more adverse ways. Pettman also undertakes a critique of the development discourse against the backdrop of globalization. She highlights the basic dilemma for feminists as the one where the choice has to be between lobbying for a more inclusive approach towards women in the development discourse at all levels or to fundamentally challenge and problematic development itself. Another important theoretical contribution to feminist IPE is made by V. Spike Peterson, who in her A Critical Rewriting of Global Political Economy, integrating reproductive, productive and virtual economies, has suggested a reproductive, productive, virtual economies model to gain greater insight about contemporary global political economy. The RPV model also allows a methodological innovation to initiate a holistic understanding of all the complex interconnections between the various kinds of economic activities that constitute contemporary IPE. The greatest merit of this model lies in the centrality it accords to the reproductive model, which indeed sustains the other two economies, that is, the productive and virtual economies, and in turn is shaped and molded by the two. To conclude, this paper initially discussed the range of scholarship that exists in feminist studies and international politics. The major essence of this paper was to distinguish between the public and private divide and locate the feminist studies within a broader realm of international studies. It also discussed the concept of patriarchy, which actually means domination of men over women in various spheres of life. Very essential to understand the concept of feminism is to understand the way it has been interpreted by different scholars and the way it is interpreted in the Western world and the Indian world.